I'm Andrew Beach. I'm a teacher of self-education. I help professionals like you communicate your value to find great opportunities faster, whether you're working or not. Today is Career Happy Hour. It's 3 p.m. Pacific time. Every Friday, I am here to support your success. Let me know in the chat whether or not you can hear me okay. Sometimes the audio comes through, sometimes it doesn't. And we'll get into the meat and potatoes of today's conversation. If you would please do me a great honor and a favor by actually sharing this, whatever platform you're on, whether that's LinkedIn, Periscope, YouTube, Facebook, what have you, click that share button, share it to your private personal networks here on LinkedIn. That would be great. Thank you, Chelsea. Good to see you. If you could share this out with your networks, that would be awesome. Just take a couple of seconds. Not a big deal. Share that out. So I will click on the chat here. I did get a new setup. I got a standing desk here today, so I feel real good about that. So good to see you, Joe. I had a couple of ideas, and I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it today. So let me know if you're into it or not. We'll get to the conversation a week update. You know, if you could let me know whether or not you hit your 5 people, 1 person a day for every day you decided to participate in your job search. Did you hit the number? If you were here last week, you remember we submitted a challenge. The challenge was, could I have 1 conversation per day with a new person? And I know there's 1 person at least that I'm familiar with that probably beat that number by a long shot. And they typically are in the sales business. So good on you. If you know who I'm talking about, then please let me know in the chat that you have attained that. So really, I have a couple of thoughts today that we can think about leveraging some conversations here. Let me, I got to make some adjustments here. Sorry, folks, if that's bothering you. I'll come back here in just a second. I got a new setup. So I used to have monitors side by side, but now I've got one monitor above another. So for me, that's a little bit easier. I can just glance up and I can continue my conversations. But you know, it's challenging when you have a new setup and you try to do things a little differently. You know, rolling with the punches in that way and feeling good about it is it just takes time to make that happen. Good. So looks like Joe from Portland. Just let me know where you're joining from. If you can hear this, great. I would really encourage you to hit the share button. This is Career Happy Hour. I'm here every Friday to provide answers to your questions about career. If you want to come on and do live coaching, in the description of the platform that you're on, you should see a link in that description that will allow you to come on to this session live and get one-on-one hands-on support with me during today's session. A number of you have taken advantage of that, and I appreciate your courage. It takes some amount of courage to do that, and I'd appreciate you do that. Good. Inviting new people, that's great. Excellent. Some folks from New York City. New York City, good to have you. Yeah, so what I wanted to talk about today is our challenge from last week. That was the person a day challenge, I believe. If you were here last week, we dropped the gauntlet and said, hey, who here really is going to commit? Many of you did. Many of you did commit to actually, happy Friday. Good to see you, Craig. You know, many of you did commit to meeting that 1 person a day. And I want to know, how did you do? How did you do in the last week? And I started thinking, you know, here's what happens. At least this happens to me. I don't know if this happens to you. As soon as you make a commitment to do something, up comes an obstacle or a roadblock or something that could sidetrack you in the process. Could be, I don't know. I hate to use death in a family, but I mean, that's a traumatic event. That could definitely sidetrack you from staying in the game. Not that you are going to ignore the occurrence of that event, whether that be a loss in the family or perhaps a health diagnosis of you or a family member, you know, or whatever. I mean, it could be a pandemic that has led to homeschooling. I mean, there's a lot of change and a lot of, I don't want to call it distractions, but things that could get in the way of you being successful. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that, Praveen. Those are kind words. Got some folks from Calgary having a blizzard. That's awesome. Oh boy. Shovel snow 3 times a day. That's a good workout. You're right. So that, I guess weather, that could be a sidetrack. And if you're in a job search and you don't have, I'll say this in the politest way as possible, is when you're in a job search and you don't have a schedule or a place to be or things that you're accountable to completing, then you're left to your own devices. You're left to lowest common denominator. And often we can be allowing ourselves to be subject to the whims of what's happening to us rather than deciding how we want to respond to that occurrence. And there is a response that needs to happen, whether it's a diagnosis or the death in the family or the weather, homeschooling. I mean, there's a lot of ways we need to respond and stay in the game. It's not an either or. It's not that two things cannot occupy the same time and space, at least not that I'm familiar with, and I'm not a scientist, but it's my experience that two things cannot occupy the same time and space. Why is that even important? Well, when we're talking job search and two things come up next to each other, we need to know which one is most important. And yes, we shouldn't ignore what happens. We should respond to it, and we should then take care of our business. Now, that's a both and situation, not an either or. And not that I'm suggesting you shouldn't, if we had a person a day challenge and you got in a position where it was like the 10th hour and you hadn't contacted anybody, that's called motivation. And that is a strong accountability tool for yourself. Now, if you, and that's just you saying to somebody out loud, this is what I'm talking about. So keep that in mind as you think about your person a day. Is it may be that just by you articulating to somebody else, you're holding yourself accountable, and that's kind of a positive reinforcement. I think a little discipline never hurt anybody, at least that I'm aware of. But the idea here is I started thinking about that there's these things that could come up in front of us that would prevent us from having success in our person a day challenge. And that happened to me. I mean, I had some of these things happen to me, and you can allow them to stop you. So what do you think I was doing right before this session? I literally got on my cell phone and started calling people, right? Because I said, hey, I'm going to do this with you guys. And so I did. I made 3 people. And even with all the things I have going on and all the home commitments and the fact that our kitchen faucet was destroyed and needed replacement. I mean, even though all of these things happened, I still made 3, right? So I still got on the board. Even though I committed to maybe 5, I made 3. I feel good about that commitment. How about you? Chelsea, thank you. Joe, great. So Joe had a conversation with 4 people this week. That's awesome. So, I mean, even if he said, okay, 5, he got 4. Well, guess what? If he didn't make that commitment and he didn't talk to anybody, he's still ahead. He's still ahead. Now, if he said 5 and he got 10, then I know he's sandbagging. And Joe, you know what I mean when I say sandbagging, right? You know you can do more. And so you give a low number so that you can make yourself look good in front of others. Chelsea also had 4 people this week. Yeah, that's so funny. Just hung up with one. See, I did the same thing, and we're going to have another conversation after this call because I told him, hey, I'd love to talk more, but I've got a 3:00 appointment that I need to get to. So what was it for you? How many people did you guys talk to? And how can we make this a little more fun? If you have, by the way, if you have any questions about career, LinkedIn, resume, interviewing, networking, whatever, just go ahead and leave that in the chat. Or if you're just joining, there is a link in the description that will allow you to come on live. And that's super helpful, right? And what I'd really recommend is at least put your questions in the chat and share this out. So if you're the type of person that comes here and you watch, you kind of participate, that's great. And you're here every week, but you don't share it out to your networks. I don't know. I don't know. I would beg you, but I don't want to. I feel I'm here to help provide you value. And all I ask is that you share this out with your network. That's it. Okay. Excellent. Look at that. Oh my goodness. We're doing numbers reporting. I love it. I know this is Leif, but for some reason he's not showing up in the system. So he had 3 new people this week. 3 new people. Now that by all measurements, that is amazing work. Why? Because here's a person that is new to job search, somewhat, I wouldn't say introverted totally, but definitely engineer, not really the type of person that would go out and talk to people. I think that's a monumental accomplishment. So good on you, Leif, for doing that. Okay. Keep it up. See if you can beat that number next week. Maybe you did 4 this week. What about 6? Could you do 6 in the next week? Now, if I committed to 6 and I got to 5, was that better than last week? Yes. So what we found is that most people, if they meet a goal, they can't really see themselves more than 35% higher than where they just came from. And I don't know the psychology behind this, but sometimes it's so far out of our comprehension that we don't think that we can get there. But if I say 5 this week and 6 next week, even though that doesn't seem like much, that's, what is that? That's 20% increase. Okay. Is 20% increase enough? Yes. And if you did 4 and you got to 5, that's actually a 25% increase. So think about it from that perspective, is we can start gamifying this, not to say we didn't do it enough, but we did it more than we anticipated. Look at it from a positive perspective. What is that? What does that look like for you? Okay, excellent. Paveen, talked to 3 people this week regarding interviews. Excellent. Congratulations. That's awesome. So how can we do that again? So it was 3 this week. A lot of you did 3 or 4. How can we do 6? Okay. What are the 10, 15, 20 ways you could get 6 contacts this next week? 6 conversations. Okay. 6. Okay. Good. One was a webinar facilitator who had a ton of good ideas to share. Great. I mean, you'd be surprised if you just reach out to somebody and they say yes, then there's a process there to follow, right? They say yes. It's up to you to follow up on that and actually have the conversation. Okay. Good on you. Yes. Started. Okay, good. Chelsea says, I've started taking on several side jobs. It helps, but also expands different types of network experience. Yeah. So there's plenty of ways that we can network. And let me fix this real quick. Seems like the camera's a little closer to my face this week. So I'm sorry about that. So the captions are like right in front of my chin. It's funny how that works, but taking on side gigs, freelance work, volunteering, there's lots of ways to put yourself into a potentially positive interaction with another person, which I think is what we're all trying to do here. We're trying to have conversations with people instead of machines, instead of an applicant tracking system, instead of a voicemail, right? Having a dynamic conversation with a person is super beneficial, not only to us, but to our health. It makes us part of a conversation and a community. So you create community by having conversations with people. So good job. Good job. You're welcome, Leif. I appreciate you. Okay. Good. So Praveen says, in job profile mention you are open to job market. I'm not sure what you mean. Write an article. Yep. Nice GitHub project. Absolutely. So there's a lot you can do to market yourself. So a lot of what we're talking about here today, in terms of the 1 person a day thing, isn't so much marketing, it's sales. And sales is kind of a more hands-on process where you're having a conversation with a person to establish your value and have a conversation that way. Okay. Good. So question by Chelsea. And I have some thoughts I want to share today, just something that might make this kind of fun. The meeting of the people kind of fun. Chelsea says, I have noticed that I keep having pre-interview phone conversations with recruiters for local, remote, real jobs, and I follow up appropriately, but they ghost me back. I'm not sure what that means. So here's the challenge. We need to be really cautious. I wouldn't say cautious. Let me pick a better word. We need to be skeptical about recruiters that we don't know coming to us with an opportunity that we're unaware of who the company is. They're remote, real jobs. Great. Now, recognize that you might have a resume posted on, I don't know, Indeed.com, Monster. I mean, there's dozens of those websites that ask you to upload a resume. And people are going to start reaching out to you from 7 Ways from Sunday, asking you some very sensitive questions, not to help you find a job, but to steal your identity. Now, I don't want to frighten anybody or make anybody paranoid, but we need to be rather skeptical about the value that recruiters, third-party recruiters typically play in our hiring process, especially if we don't know them, haven't validated them, or know exactly who they're recruiting for. So be cautious, a little skeptical, and validate everything they're telling you. Now, if they don't call you back, I wouldn't call that ghosting. I would just call that normal. It's normal that a recruiter would not call you back. Why? Do the math. Okay. I did it on a session earlier today. We did some math on, if the average recruiter is hiring team person, right? Anybody in talent acquisition or recruitment, they're not just handling one requisition. They're likely handling 24. Okay. So let's say 25. And each of those comes with 150 candidates. Well, guess what? That's 3,750 candidates. At least that's what they told me when they did the math. So you tell me, is it reasonable that someone who reaches out to you also is interacting with 3,750 other candidates might forget? Is it possible? Is it possible that they found somebody else and they just don't have the bandwidth to get back to everybody? It's possible. Now, I'm not rationalizing or justifying their inaction or non-communication, but I certainly can see why they would not respond to you. And I don't think that has anything to do with ghosting. Ghosting is kind of I don't know if I would call it that. It's just non-communication. That's why networking is so important, folks. That's why I'm encouraging you to go to the 1 person a day challenge, is to just talk to one new person every day. Maybe it's just you going, right through your cell phone and just start looking at your contacts list. Go back through your, I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to go through my recent calls and I can just see actually all and missed. So I'm seeing a bunch of names here of people I should probably take and call back. Okay. I'm going to look at my text messages. Who sent me text messages in the last couple of months that I should probably reach out to by phone and have a conversation verbally, maybe have a coffee chat, a virtual happy hour, whatever that looks like. I'm seeing a bunch of people in here that I know I should probably reach out to one more time that are in my circle of influence. Okay. So what would I advocate? 10%. 10% of your time with recruitment, whether that's third party or internal talent acquisition, 10%. Okay. Third-party recruiters or talent acquisition. The rest of the time, 85% networking. Okay, that would bring us to 95%. What's the other 5%? Making applications. So if I was to structure my day for job search, that's what it would look like. It would be doing a lot of research in the morning about companies and people, and reaching out to people to schedule conversations, and then executing those conversations in the afternoon, saving, I don't know, sometime after 8 o'clock at night for my applications. So anyway, something to think about. So one of the things that I would advocate, maybe as a result of that conversation, is creating for yourself, what does the ideal week look like? What are the hours that you're going to spend in job search? Where are you going to allocate those resources? What are you going to prioritize? What are you going to focus on? Obviously, highest and best use of your time is interview and interview preparation. Interview and interview preparation is high value. So if I looked at my next week, what does that look like? Do you have interviews next week? Okay, next on the list would be interview preparation. What do you consider interview preparation, Andrew? Well, that'd be writing stories of significance, anecdotal evidence of success, right? That would be practicing those stories. That would be practicing your branding statement. That would be networking with people to practice those things, like a branding statement, a positioning statement, an exit statement. It's the hand-to-hand combat. Call it interview preparation. I like that better than networking or cold calling. Interview prep. I'm doing interview prep. Can you help me out? All right. Good. Excellent. So it looks like there's some other questions here. Robocall. Okay. I've had lots of success, several roles with recruiters for contract position. I ask recruiters, who is your client and what rate is being offered? Yeah. So it's okay to throw that back at them because they appreciate the pragmatic approach. They're binary thinkers by trade. You either fit the box or you don't fit the box. They're going to appreciate the tactical nature of your conversation. So it's perfectly acceptable to go that direction. Thank you for that advice, Deborah. If you have a piece of advice you'd like to share, put it in the chat. If you want to come on live, there is a link in the description. You can click that link and come on live and get some support by me immediately, like right now. Okay, good. Praveen says, I get more LinkedIn requests, tag recruiter, but they are mostly not genuine. I don't know what that means, right? I get all kinds of requests from all kinds of places. And yes, some of those folks may be recruiters. Some of those folks may be people trying to sell me something. It happens all the time. We each have to decide how to decide who we're going to accept, who we're not going to accept as connections on LinkedIn, and what we're going to do after we're connected. Okay. Question for you. If you have more than 500 connections, when was the last time you talked to somebody in your network? Okay. Meaning, did you go through all 500 connections and have a conversation? Now, I'm not pointing out or pointing to any one person, but we certainly could do. One of the things I was thinking about doing today is a LinkedIn profile review, right? That we walk through people's profiles and give them feedback. If you guys are up for that, I'd be happy to pick a profile and just we'll throw it up on the screen and we'll tear it apart. How's that sound? All of us can provide feedback at the same time. Anyhow, good. Welcome, Io. Good to see you. Yep. Happy Friday. Good. One thing that helps support Andrew's point of what does your week look like is in the past I have used P&A planner.com, planners to block out a healthy job search schedule week. Yeah. I mean, so here's the idea is that you dedicate time to yourself first. And that time is not negotiable. Not negotiable. Meaning, I am really looking for, looks like Terry can't find the link for today's session. That is funny. Sometimes, let me know in the chat if you guys have seen or heard or known someone who's been unable to access this deal today. And it's kind of funny. So I will send that off to Terry. Terry will be here in a moment. So good on Terry. There we go. Excellent. So the idea I was talking about here is allocate time for yourself first. That's health, self-care, exercise, reading books or things for you personally, not professionally. So that's you filling your own vessel, if you will. Okay, so that time goes first. Second would be interviews. If you have interviews, you block that time off. That time is not touchable. After that would be interview prep, and that's anything related to interview prep. Outside of that, it would be anything else, right? So if I had a schedule that was 85% interviews, interview prep, and personal time, I'm in the right space. Okay. Welcome, Terry. You finally made it in. Don't know why you couldn't see what was happening today. So thanks for making it. Good to have you. By the way, someone posted in my network. Here, I'll put this in the chat as well for y'all to share and see. Copy link to post. Bear with me, please. I'm going to put something in the chat that I think might be valuable to most of you. It's for a senior director role. What is the role? Hang on. Senior Director of Enterprise Architecture. So is anybody here in Portland area that would qualify for a Senior Director role in Enterprise Architecture? So good to see you. Awesome. Terry's here. Good to see you. Let's see who this is. I don't know who left this one. You know, sometimes they just show up as LinkedIn user. So I apologize for that. Good. Oh, it's Yasmin. Yasmin, thank you. So this is Yasmin. She says, I have been speaking a ton to recruiters for about 2 years. I replied to a job posting and she contacted me, but it didn't lead to a job. Afterwards, every 6 to 9 months, she emails me and asks me to send my most updated resume. That's great. I thought she had misplaced my last resume. She hasn't asked for any more personal info than what I have listed on my resume. I used to have my address, but removed it. Good call. Yeah, we don't want to put our personal private address, our physical address on any kind of resume. I think that's a good call. She did contact me recently about a position, but it wasn't the right fit. Should I continue to send her my resume if she asks? Absolutely. In fact, I would take that a step further. Here's somebody that's continually, over the course of 2 years or 6 to 9 months, over 2 years, has stayed in touch with you and incubated a relationship. Why didn't you tell her thank you? Or, hey, you know what I appreciate about you? The fact that you're always asking me for my information. You're always keeping me in mind for opportunities. And you've given me a chance on these two, and I appreciate that. Thank you. It's Thanksgiving season, right? We're headed, after the pagan holiday called Halloween. We are headed into Thanksgiving. So be thankful. In fact, make that a year-round thing. Gratitude. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Yes. Hey, you know what, Terry? I'm all about inclusion. So I maybe you can endorse me for inclusion on my profile. Anyway, I'm just kidding. So how do you guys feel about doing a profile review, or perhaps going about the process of the other topic I had? The other topic I had was a little more around gamifying things. So good. Bet they have been online chats, maybe have a live conversation. Sure. I'd be happy to have a live conversation. If anybody wants a live conversation, you can come on live. That's super easy. Just click the thing in the description that says, join me live. It's in there somewhere. Let me see what it says. It says join the live stream for free video coaching. That's what it says. There's a link there. So if you see that link, you can go ahead and hit it if you like. So good for Jasmine. Yeah. Good. Awesome. Sometimes the chat isn't aligned on both of these platforms. So sorry if I seem distracted. So we could do gamifying, or I could just pick somebody's LinkedIn profile and do a review. Or you could come on live and I would be happy to do some hands-on coaching right now to help you through a challenge. Okay. Oh, Zai got a good one. Here we go. What do you think of seasonal remote job? Given the time of COVID, e-commerce is gearing up for online channel. Yeah, that's happening right now. In fact, they're starting. I think they're stretching out what used to be called Black Friday. They're stretching out the entire month of November. I don't think there's any lack of opportunity for seasonal work, and much of that might be delivery related stuff, because I think a lot of this is going to be done delivery. People are not going to be going to the store. Now I did see, I think, what was it? Let me see here. Let me get back. On the LinkedIn homepage, there was an interesting article, I think, about Target. Target stores is taking reservations to do your holiday shopping. And I think that's going to become more the norm during the pandemic, is that if you want to shop at a store during a certain time, you can book a time to do that. I actually appreciate that they're limiting the number of people in the store. There's nothing I dislike more than going shopping during the holidays when it's super crowded and you can't find anything. Okay. It would actually be nice to have a little crowd control in the building so that you can actually have a good shopping experience. So there you have it. Good. So I have 1 vote for gamifying, 2 votes for LinkedIn profile review. Okay. Got it. Appreciate that. So I guess the question is, who should we review? Let me take a look here. Actually, I'm going to pick Praveen. I want to pick somebody who wants a profile review. So I will pick Praveen. Just make things easy. Is that okay with everybody? Let me get over to his profile. There we go. I'll make it a tiny bit bigger. Oh, that's too big. Okay, there we go. All right, and then I will share my screen. Okay, review profile. Okay, so a lot of people are saying review profile. So as part of that process, we might run into something that is going to be helpful to everybody. So hopefully that happens, or maybe it won't. I really don't know. Okay. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to actually, minimize myself? No, I want to go the other way. That one. There we go. All right. All right, Praveen, you've committed the #1 cardinal sin, and that is you've branded yourself as a job seeker by using the open to work photo frame. I would change that today. As soon as we get off this session, I would eliminate that from my profile. The other thing I would consider is that your profile photograph outdoors is nice. Sunglasses on is probably not so much. So if I was thinking about you as a brand, what would I think of you from that photograph? I would think outdoor enthusiast, someone maybe in outerwear, or maybe riding a bike. Maybe you're a mountain biker. So you want to work for a mountain bike company, or Oakley. Maybe Oakley is one of your target companies. That would be great, wouldn't it? And I also see some outdoor images there that are kind of, I think that image is sideways. So I have to crook my neck one way or another to see your background image. So I would definitely change up your images, and I'd remove the photo frame from your profile. Okay. You want to reflect your brand. And if your brand is a senior solution architect in software, then guess what? Your images should reflect that. Okay. This isn't Facebook. Facebook, you'd have a different persona. And this photograph might be ideal for something like Facebook or Instagram. Okay. But for LinkedIn, what we're looking for here is a brand supported, interview ready photograph where we can actually connect with you as a person. Right now, I can't see your eyes. I don't see any teeth, which would demonstrate to me vulnerability and approachability. Right now, you look too cool for school, which isn't bad if that's your intended brand. Okay. So headline, this looks fine. I wouldn't be really reliant on a company name. I would use this headline space, which is now 220 characters, to talk about my brand. What do I do as a solution architect that's valuable to the people that I work for? Let's look at it from that perspective. Okay. Good. Looks like you're in Redmond. That's great. 500 plus connections. That means you have turned on the capacity for people to see everybody in your network. That is the approved setting. Congratulations. Now, I'm not going to show contact info here on today's session, but I would really encourage you, if I clicked on your contact info, I'd like to see an email and a cell phone number. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be your private email or your work email. It could be a career-focused email. I don't have one right now, but I could, if I did, I would create one. And then I would have a layer of privacy behind a Google Voice number if I did a cell number. But I would have a way for people to get hold of me. Okay. Now, the other thing I noticed just looking at the header here is that you've selected things that don't have a presence on LinkedIn. How do I know? Because there's no logo next to your company name and there's no logo next to your university. You want to pick the ones that if I type them in the thing here, Technovert, okay? Technovert, it looks like they have a presence on this platform. So I would pick the one that most closely represents, even though it might be the a subsidiary or some other version of that company. I would pick the one that's got the logo on it, okay? Same for the university. I don't know what JNTU stands for, but I can guarantee you that there's likely a presence on LinkedIn, and I'd want the one that has a logo next to it to add legitimacy to my profile, okay? Highlights. Okay, good. 8 years. Congratulations. The About section. Let's see. This is a large block of text. So generally speaking, if we look at an About section visually, it should be easy to consume. This is not the same as your resume. This is not the resume summary. This is a first-person presentation of your brand. That means I should see in the first section here something that says, this is who I am. Who are you? This sounds like your resume, very keyword driven. Not that that's wrong, but I want to have a conversation with Praveen. And if I was presenting myself here, I would want to have some sort of conversation with you and say, if I was in front of you shaking your hand right now, what would you say to me? If I was a hiring manager, right? That's that elevator pitch, if you want to call it that. Now, this is a pretty broad section. You get 2,600 characters here. There's a lot of space to share your brand. And we don't want it to be using acronyms or abbreviations or just listing keywords. It's not consumable. I want to make it consumable, and all of these may be valuable just in different ways. So you've got a lot of good content here. It just seems to be just a big, huge block of text. And I would fix that. Good on you, Praveen. You have a featured section. However, I am not putting here a resume. Why? Because it's redundant and it's limiting. Resume is LinkedIn is a replacement for your resume. I would not put anything that resembles a resume here. What would I put here? I could put an article on LinkedIn on how to optimize architectures for scalability. Do you have expertise around that? Could you share best practices, write an article about it, and then share your article here, okay? If you did some sort of great architectural solution for your employer, was that shared out anyway? Or did you get a recommendation? Did somebody write you a kudos award or something? I would put that here. I would put something related to your brand, not a resume or something that looks like a resume, okay? Good. You have an activity section as well. That means you're active on the platform. However, the activity you have here should be some of your own, okay? So if I see all activity and click on posts, what do I see? Okay. The last post that Praveen made was a month ago. Okay. That's too long. Let's see how many articles Praveen is. Okay. So he did write a post. So this is something I would put in my featured section. You've already written articles. I would put something like this absolutely in my featured section. And it's been 2 years since you've written an article. I would probably write another one that's more current and relevant to your audience and demonstrating your key skills. Okay. Let's go back to the profile. Let's see here. So that's the featured section. I think no, that's good. Experience. Again, no logo here. I would resolve that today. Okay. Now, here's a challenge for me is that the first role in experience is critically important. It's where a lot of people stop and read. Okay. So if I'm going to stop and read the first role in experience, what am I seeing there? I'm seeing that you have not made any tangible contributions. That's what I'm seeing. Yeah, you may have been a senior solution architect, but so what? Answer the question, so what? Why should I spend my time continuing down this profile? I would actually not. I would stop right here and I would go to the next candidate. That's me. Okay. So I would take some time and decide what is it? What are the strategic projects I've done? In fact, you might actually catalog those as a project on LinkedIn just so you can collect your thoughts about what you want to put here. And so that serves two purposes. One, they get to see all of your projects. And two, you have content now for this section. Okay. India. So independent consulting for 11 months. Is that relevant? Let me see here. Okay. So are you trying to, so the question I would have is, are you just trying to fill space? You don't want people to think you were out of work for a while, or you were between jobs, or you were, I don't know. So this would lead me to believe, or at least elicit a question. The question I would ask is, why did you leave Ramp Technology? What happened there? So you see what happens is there's an opportunity here for people to have confusion and ask questions. But again, with this one here, I don't see any tangible contributions or solutions to problems. What problems did you solve while you were an independent consultant? Tangible business problems, okay? And then down here, it just looks like developer stuff. Again, I don't see any features that you rolled out or architectural differences you made. So part of this process really is taking a look at all the experiences you've had, regardless of when you did them or the title you had, and how does that extrapolate to your future? So how does .NET developer in 2006, how does that extrapolate to what you want to do next? And everything in this role, I'm going to position from that perspective, including any kind of, keyword language. I also notice here there's experience, licenses. You don't have any volunteering. Not that that's bad, but I would certainly have a section here that rounds out your profile where you're offering a volunteer experience, and that it's current. What does that mean? That, hey, I've got something I'm doing right now to make a difference in my community that may be connected to my future. Now, it doesn't have to be connected to your future, but it certainly should be something that you care about, okay? Education. I don't know what JNTU stands for, but I would certainly go in and change that. If they have a presence here, that's great. Activities and societies, debate, games, paper presentations, programming, competitions. Okay, good. Excellent. That looks good. Just change that up. I would take out the dates too. Dates not relevant to your candidacy with a company, especially now that they're 14 years removed. I would just take those dates out, select the word year and year at the top, and that should be resolved. And so I don't know what this is. Is this a community college? So the question I would have is, I'm not familiar with any of these educational institutions. And so I'd presume that they're not legitimate. Okay. So just make sure, and your public school work, take all the dates out of this. So if this is relevant to your future, leave it in. If it's not, you can pull it out because you've already got a bachelor's. If this is above a bachelor's, then I would pull it out or keep it in. But if it's not, I would pull it out. I don't know what an SSC is. I don't know what an MPC is. These things need to be spelled out, especially for people who don't understand what they are. Okay. Licenses and certs, that's great. These are all pretty dated, actually, 8 years old and 12 years old. Are these relevant to your future? You might update these because I can assure you Microsoft has a logo and that it's associated with this particular certification. Okay, so if you're looking to just do app development in your future, then guess what? People are going to approach you for app development opportunities. Okay. Good. Skills and endorsements. Now, again, below licenses. Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, there's a volunteer section there that I would add. Skills and endorsements. What we have to recognize is that I can see right off the bat that you've never prioritized this list. How do I know that? Because ASP.NET's got 55 endorsements on down. That means you haven't taken time to say, this is what I want to be known for. So if I'm an architect, do I see anything relating to architecture here? I don't. I see a lot of software dev skills. Not that that's bad, right? But you need to have something here reflecting your future, not your past. So for example, my profile used to have a bunch of stuff regarding sales. Why? That's where I come from. I come from sales. So what does that mean? That means I had sales and negotiating and proposals and prospecting and relationship build, all these things related to the profession called sales. All right. And so what did I do? I pulled all of that out of there. And now I have training and development, coaching, learning, teaching, facilitation, all the tools that I'm using as part of this this particular session today. Okay. So I would audit these and pull the ones out that you don't want to be known for that might be dated, right? Do people still use Link? I really don't know. Are people widely using T-SQL? I don't know. But I'm sure there's something in here that's dated that needs to be pulled out. And you need to make sure you're using LinkedIn skills. Don't try to create your own. They have a database. Just use their skills that are already there. Okay. So that's skills and endorsements. Recommendations. You're good. You're good on recommendations. In fact, you've got some that are current, which I think is the biggest challenge that many of us have, is we think because we have a handful of recommendations, we don't need to add any more. And that could be further for the truth. However, I would go through here and ask myself, do I have any from hiring managers that demonstrate my capabilities to move to the next level in my career? Okay, so is this all talking about my past and my capacity to migrate SharePoint servers? Okay, or is it related to my future? Because this sounds like web dev skills. It doesn't sound like something that's related to architecture or perhaps, So use your best judgment there. And if I see a bunch of profiles without pictures, I wonder if they're real. And so if I had a bunch of endorsements or recommendations from people who don't appear to be legitimate, I would have a problem with that. Okay. The other side of this is given. So the thing I recommend for a lot of folks is that the number of received and given should never equal each other, because there's high probability that was quid pro quo, and people will actually start to do an audit when they see the same numbers. That's the first thing. Second thing is, based on who you want to be and the reputation you want to bring to the marketplace, what you may decide is that I want to have more given than I've received. More given than I've received. Why is that important? Well, if I want to be seen as a leader that's, let's say, a servant leader, how many would I have given versus received? 5x? 10x? Would I ever ask for a recommendation? And probably not. Okay, probably not. So there we go. Now, the other thing I appreciate about your profile, Praveen, is that you actually have this accomplishments section pretty well put together. Okay. Now, course on computer science engineering, that's probably what you took at university. So if it is, that's redundant, and that's not what this section is for. This section is for, what should it be? Professional development courses typically delivered through the company you work for. This is also, in my estimation, where you would put your LinkedIn learnings, because that's professional development. It's not a certificate. So if you did some LinkedIn learnings, I would put those here into courses. Yeah, you're going to have to manually enter them. I apologize. Okay. One organization. Okay. Well, this is redundant as well. So you're not using organizations for their intended purpose. For example, if you're a Microsoft SharePoint expert and there's a SharePoint users group, would you put that here? The answer is yes. That would fall under an organization or an association or a volunteer opportunity, something of that nature. Okay, that's your affiliation professionally with maybe PMI. If you have a project management professional certification, that could go here. Okay, it also could be things like, I don't know, Toastmasters. But that could also, so the challenge with organization is that could fall also under volunteer experience. Sometimes that's the challenge there, but Technovert is not an organization per se. I'm glad that you have more than one language. And projects, this is huge, okay? So see, you have some projects here, 2015 to 2019. I would look for ones that are a little more current, okay? And a tangible beginning, middle, and end to the project. And I would actually, quite honestly, I would tag the people I did it with, because you have the capacity to do that. It gives them credit for it. They get to add it to their profile. I would actually be tagging the people there. Okay. And I don't know what other sections can be added here. I'll have to go back and view, because you have several things here that maybe we missed. I like using this because I can go down and look at it. You have a featured section, although we already talked about that. Background, add volunteering, skills, accomplishments. Here's what I was looking for. Publications, courses, projects, honors and awards. Do you have any honors and awards? I would put that in. I didn't see those. Test scores. Now, test scores, what I did there is I actually did maybe like some of my assessments. And those are more soft skills, I suppose. Organizations. Yeah. So you have all that done already. So I just wanted to go back and confirm that you had all that done. Good. So let's go down to the bottom. There's one last thing to do. See y'all. Okay. How many companies are you following? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You're following 30 companies. Okay. I would be following double that. And follow all of the companies I'm wanting to work for or be a part of, all of them and all of their peers. So if I went to say, oh, let's just pick one here. Let me go back. Microsoft. I'll just pick Microsoft off the top. And so I should probably also be following all their affiliated pages. Here's all their affiliated pages. Microsoft owns LinkedIn, by the way. People also viewed. So if I'm following Microsoft, I should probably follow Google, Amazon, Apple, and so on, right? All these different companies that are listed here. Okay. So that's just an example. Now groups. How many groups are you in? 5, 10 groups. Okay. That's fine. I would identify some hiring managers that are in groups you want to be a part of that revolve around your domain and your interests. And then, so you get 40 groups. I would actually join somewhere near 40. You're going to have to manage your notifications, right? You're going to have to maybe turn off for some groups, but that gives you visibility to more people. It actually, I think, has proven to expand your search results when you do searches on LinkedIn. Okay. So keep that in mind as you go through this process. Wow. So we covered a lot of space there. Was that helpful for you guys? I mean, I really just don't know if it was or it wasn't. So let me know in the chat if you found that useful or not. Yeah, thank you, Craig. I really encourage everybody in their experience section on LinkedIn to have really strong accomplishment statements very close to the top of each section in experience. What we found is LinkedIn tends to, and I understand why, they just tend to truncate sections on the profile. So although it may be able to hold a lot of content, there isn't much that shows by default. So make sure you take a look at that as well. Good job. Yep. Yeah, I'm glad you found that helpful. It's an eye-opener, isn't it? Yeah, so I mean, you have to look at it with fresh eyes. And sometimes if it's your profile, it's hard to have fresh eyes, truthfully. And getting a third party to look at it that way is sometimes helpful. Okay. How do I add a logo? What do you mean by that, Terry? Be more specific. So I guess I could go back and share the screen again. Let's try this. What the heck? Okay. So what you mean by logo is right here next to Technovert. What this means is Praveen has picked the wrong company. He's created his own. And although that might be something that's on, and it's not, it's in all caps. You can see it here. Maybe he works at Cicada, Technovert company. It got acquired. I don't know. I don't know which Technovert he works for, but it's certainly probably this first one because there's a logo next to it. There's a presence being curated and maintained by Technovert. Now, if I wanted to create my own business and I wanted to go out and hang my shingle, well, I could come here under work, the 9-box waffle, if you will, and I can create my own company page, right? So here you go. What kind of is it? Well, it's an educational institution, is hard to get. So that isn't going to work. But I would just go with small business. So if I wanted to create my own, this is how I do it. I'd create a LinkedIn page for my company. And I'd create a logo on canva.com. I mean, that's what I did, right? So if you come in here and say, hey, where are they? Where's my companies? Where did that's probably under here. There it is. Here, I can manage my 3 steps for career success webpage, right? That's a company page. I can do that for the Breakfast Club, which is something I curate. Here's some ideas to build your page. LinkedIn's really good about that. Here's my real estate company that I held for a long time. It's still my corporation. I still use it, but I had that for the purposes of running my real estate business. But yeah, you can create, if that's what you're asking, of course. I don't know if it is, but if that's what you're asking, Terry, then hopefully that would be what you're talking about. Okay. Good. Awesome. Richard Emery seconded. I'd love to see 15 minutes a week dedicated. Oh, okay. Sure. Absolutely. Hey, you guys have to remind me what you want. Okay. If there's something that you want, this is a community for your benefit. So if there's something you want, please ask for it. Okay. Ask for it. This is your session, right? We're coming up to the end here. So if someone wants to come on live, they could do that. Just click the link in the description and say, hey, I want to come on live. But good. Hopefully I answered that. Thank you, Terry. Awesome. Well, maybe we can approach gamifying next week. I was just thinking about, there's two sides to gamifying, right? It's the positive reinforcement and the negative reinforcement. And if I was to give point values or dollar values to certain activities, then I start thinking about ways to, interact with LinkedIn or my network or, activities on a day-to-day basis that make it kind of fun, right? So I'd have maybe $100 in ones on my desk, and every time I do something I'm supposed to, I get to put those dollar bills in a different side of the desk. Anyway, I was just start thinking of different creative ways to gamify certain things. So I like the profile critique lottery. Yeah, that was actually just totally random. I just picked somebody's profile that I just happened to have up as I was going through the list of people in the chat. So hopefully that was helpful. And I do appreciate you coming here. If you would, please, before you go, if you haven't done so already, click the share button, share it to your precious and most desired social network channels. So if you haven't done that yet, just at the bottom of every platform, there's a little share button down there somewhere. Okay. I think on LinkedIn, it's like, where is it? It's like down here underneath the video. So if you see it there, click on it and share this out to your networks. Put it in a private message to somebody, suggest that they attend here every Friday at 3:00 Pacific time, career happy hour, right? I need a drink. Oh, by the way, Terry, I just tasted our family's Pinot Noir, the 2018? Maybe it was the 2018. Let me look. I've got it somewhere. Let me see what it says. It's the 2019. So here, I'll hold it up. It's the 2019 Pinot Noir, and it's fantastic for being so young and in the bottle. How to open the work, remove the banner. Just change the privacy settings to recruiter only. Super easy. Go into your intro section where your photo is and all of that, and just click on where it says you're open to opportunities, and you can change the privacy setting from all LinkedIn members to just recruiters. Problem solved. Okay. Yeah, Terry, it's pretty exceptional. Young in the bottle, probably the best that they've ever done, and it will sell out fast. I'm not selling it, but if I was to sell it, I would, and it would sell. It'll sell out. No, there's no doubt in my mind it'll sell out fast. So if you're interested, send me a private message. Okay. What time to come by from Taste Test? Now I understand you're under like 50 feet of snow there, Richard. So I don't think you're going to make it. So, yeah, no, it's my brother-in-law's wine label. So it's good stuff. Fantastic, delicious. I think you would really enjoy it if you're into wine. Not everybody is. This isn't. Where do you find it? I said private message me, Terry, and we can make something happen. we're probably going to get a couple cases. And no, I don't get a discount. So, nor do I want one. I want them to be successful. So, good. Anything else? Yeah, I don't know. The Okanogan Pinot it doesn't have, it can't even touch what we have here in the Willamette Valley. I'm sorry. It's just not even close. Not even close. The viticultural, the micro climates here are just so much different. So much different. So let's see. Can you advise the next time how to strategize virtual recruitment? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Zai. So Terry might have more insight. I don't know what virtual recruitment is. I know that there's people recruiting for jobs, and many of those jobs are remote just because of the current circumstance, but they may not end or stay that way. Okay. All right, folks. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you, and hopefully we'll see you next. Yes, they are. They're fighting words, Terry. I agree. But it's not even a fight worth having. So we already know who the winner is. All right, guys. See you next Friday. Get your one person a day. So 1 person a day challenge. Get out there, meet one person, new person each day you decide to participate in your search. And we will see you next Friday. Take care.